Chocolate is supposed to be simple. Cocoa richness, the familiar melt that never lies. But lately something feels off. 5 everyday brands ones people have trusted for years have quietly turned that trust into an advantage. They look the same, they're sold the same, the label's barely changed. And yet inside the wrapper, the chocolate you think you're buying isn't really there anymore. It's been replaced, swapped for coatings built from cheaper fats fillers and engineered flavors designed to mimic what real chocolate should taste like. No announcement, no warning, just a silent shift from chocolate to chocolate flavor, coating from white chocolate to white coating. One tiny change that reveals everything, and the betrayal hits harder because these products lived in lunchboxes, break rooms, glove compartments. They were part of routines, comforts, little moments you never questioned, until now. If you felt something different lately, a thinner melt, a duller flavor, a strange aftertaste, you're not imagining it. Let's uncover the 5 brands that quietly stopped being chocolate and hoped nobody would notice. Number 1. Mcvity's Penguin. Let's start with a bar. Almost everyone recognizes the one that sat in lunchboxes for years and built an entire identity around being wrapped in chocolate. The problem is, it isn't wrapped in chocolate anymore. The coating on a penguin bar today is something entirely different, and the label is the only place that still tells the truth. Milk chocolate flavor coating, not chocolate, not milk chocolate. A flavor coating engineered to behave just enough like the real thing that most people wouldn't think to question it. Look closely at the wrapper. The word chocolate never stands alone. It's always paired with flavor or flavored. That one added word is the whole story. Real chocolate has strict definitions. A flavor coating is what manufacturers use when the cocoa content drops so low and the vegetable fats rise so high that calling it chocolate would no longer be accurate. It's a quiet downgrade, so quiet that most shoppers never even noticed when it happened. Now picture the bar itself. The color looks fine at a glance, but stare at it for a second longer. The tone is lighter, flatter, almost muted. Break it in half and the snap isn't really a snap. It gives way with a soft crumble. Hold it between your fingers, and instead of that smooth, slow melt you expect from chocolate, you get a surface that smears quickly, almost greasy. The sheen is a giveaway, less richness, more oil. These are the tiny signals people feel in their mouths, but rarely stop to analyze. If something ever tasted thinner or different to you, this is why. Under that coating is a blend of fats, palm, sometimes palm kernel, doing the structural work that cocoa butter used to do. Cocoa butter is expensive, and its price has been rising for years. Vegetable oils are cheap, stable, and easy to use. When manufacturers cut cocoa butter and replace it with these fats, you feel it instantly whether you realize it or not. The melt becomes shallow. The texture turns waxy or slippery. The flavor disappears almost as fast as it arrives. To keep the coating tasting like what the memory of a penguin should taste like, the recipe leans on flavoring. Not richness from cocoa solids, just flavor built to mimic it. And that's where the emotional shift hits hardest. Because penguin wasn't just a sweet snack. It was a habit, a familiar moment in a school lunch, a break room treat, something you trusted without thinking. When a product like that changes this dramatically, people sense it before they understand it. They say, it's not as good as it used to be, without knowing what actually changed. Turn the bar over and read the ingredient list. Sugar leads. Vegetable fats come early. Cocoa appears later than you would expect for something calling itself chocolate. And the percentage isn't printed because there's nothing impressive to declare. Every detail tells the same story. This isn't chocolate, it's a copy of chocolate designed to be cheaper, not better. And if this feels like a disappointment, brace yourself. Because if Penguin quietly pulled cocoa out of the picture, the next brand doesn't just reduce it. The next one buries it under so much sugar that the cocoa barely stands a chance. Number 2. Wagon Wheels. If the first brand faded cocoa out of the picture, this one buries cocoa under something far more concerning: sheer overwhelming sweetness. Wagon Wheels have become a masterclass in how sugar can disguise the absence of real chocolate. One bite tells you everything, not through cocoa depth, not through richness, but through a hit of sweetness, so sharp it almost numbs the tongue before any flavor appears. And the part people don't realize is this: the coating isn't chocolate. It's a chocolate-flavored coating built primarily from sugar, vegetable oils, glucose syrup and flavoring. Cocoa barely gets a say. But flavor deception isn't the real problem here. The problem is what happens when a snack leans this heavily on sugar and low-quality fats to create the illusion of something richer. You're not just eating a treat, you're eating a product that spikes your system fast with almost nothing to slow that spike down. Look at the label. Sugar is the first ingredient. Glucose syrup isn't far behind. Then come the oils, palm, kernel, shea. Only after all that do you find cocoa powder. The body reacts to a formulation like this very differently than it reacts to real chocolate. Chocolate digestion is moderated by cocoa solids and cocoa butter, two ingredients that slow down absorption. But this coating has neither structure nor moderation. It hits the bloodstream like fuel thrown on a flame. And here's where the health consequences start to look uncomfortable. According to Dr. Sarah Berry, a nutrition scientist at King's College London, rapid sugar spikes followed by rapid crashes are one of the most harmful patterns for long-term metabolic health. She isn't talking about Wagon Wheels specifically, but the mechanism is identical. A coating built on sugar and cheap fats behaves exactly like the foods she warns about: fast rise, fast fall, hunger, return craving, cycle, repeat. Another nutrition expert, Dr. Dwayne Meller, has repeatedly explained that products high in refined sugar and industrial fats do not satisfy appetite, they stimulate it. Again, not about this brand, but describing the same pattern you see in snacks that rely on sugar instead of cocoa for flavor. Foods like these rarely leave you feeling full. They leave you wanting more, and that's exactly why they're produced this way. Take another look at the coating. The gloss comes from oils, not cocoa butter. The melt is more like icing than chocolate. Your mouth experiences sweetness first, fat second, and flavor somewhere in the background. This isn't how chocolate behaves. This is how an ultra-processed dessert layer behaves, one that sits on top of marshmallow, and a biscuit base creating a sugar load that's far greater than most people realize. Now think about what this means for a child's lunchbox, for a quick snack at work, for the one bite won't hurt moment that happens several times a week. The worry isn't one wagon wheel, it's what happens when a food this sweet becomes normal. When the palate gets trained to expect intensity instead of balance. When the brain learns to chase sugar highs instead of flavor. Maybe that's why so many adults say the same thing. It doesn't taste like it used to. They're right. The sweetness is louder, the cocoa quieter, and the health impact heavier. Because if the first brand quietly removed chocolate, this one replaces it with something that keeps you coming back, even when your body wishes you wouldn't. Number 3. Tesco Value Chocolate Flavor Bar. Let's stop pretending this one is chocolate. Tesco Value. Chocolate Flavor Bar doesn't even try to hide what it is. The name itself tells you everything: chocolate flavor bar. Not chocolate, not milk chocolate. A bar built to look like chocolate, act like chocolate, but never be chocolate. And the moment you understand what replaced it, the whole product becomes something you would never lay casually on a kitchen counter again. Because this bar isn't just cheaper, it's reconstructed. Cocoa butter, the fat that defines real chocolate, is gone. In its place is a cocktail of engineered fats: palm oil, palm kernel oil, shea fat emulsifiers, fractions blended to mimic a melt, not deliver one. This is not chocolate softened, it is chocolate rewritten. And that rewrite doesn't happen for flavor, it happens for cost. Now imagine this bar sitting near your kettle, a quick snack someone grabs without thinking. A child, a sibling, a partner. It looks fine. It tastes familiar for about 3 seconds. But what it does after that is nothing like the chocolate it imitates. Look closely at how it behaves. The surface doesn't bloom or melt, real chocolate does that. The Tesco Value bar softens, then slumps into a dull, oily smear. It doesn't liquefy, it wilts. Touch it for a moment too long, and you'll feel that strange film left on your fingers, as if the coating is trying to melt and hold itself together at the same time. Break it. The fracture is wrong. The edge bends before snapping, leaving a stretched, almost rubbery line. That bend comes from engineered fats calibrated for shelf stability, not melting pleasure. It's the kind of texture you'd expect from a processed glaze, not something derived from cocoa. That bend is the first warning. Now think about what that means once it enters someone's mouth. Cocoa butter melts just below body temperature, creating a clean transition from solid to liquid. But the fats in this coating, they melt inconsistently, some above body temperature, some far below. That uneven melt leaves residue on the palate and lingers long after the sweetness fades. Cardiologist Dr. Andrew Freeman has warned that industrial saturated fats behave differently in the body and may contribute to less favorable cholesterol patterns compared to naturally structured fats. He's not talking about this bar specifically, but the mechanism is undeniable. Replace cocoa butter with engineered fats, and you replace a natural digestive process with a confused one. And confusion inside the body never ends well. These bars don't satisfy hunger, they provoke it. The oily melt signals richness, but the body receives none of the nutrients that richness implies. It's a fake fullness, a phantom of chocolate that leaves the stomach wanting what it never got. Now return to that kitchen image. Someone picks up this bar on a tired afternoon. They eat it in 2 bites, barely tasting it. It slips into their day. It has become a habit. It becomes normal. And that's the danger, not the bar itself, but its invisibility. Its ability to impersonate something comforting while acting nothing like it inside the body. Tesco Value chocolate flavor bar doesn't just replace chocolate, it replaces trust. It replaces natural melt with engineered oil. It replaces complexity with speed. It replaces satisfaction with craving. And the next brand, it doesn't imitate chocolate, it hides behind luxury to sell you less for more. Number 4. Cadbury Dark Milk. There's a moment right before someone buys a bar of Cadbury Dark Milk where curiosity wins. The packaging is dark, moody, almost seductive. It whispers richer, deeper, more grown-up. You pick it up because it feels like an upgrade, a little step towards something better. But here's the truth, that moment is exactly what the company is banking on. Not your experience, not your enjoyment, your curiosity, and your fear of missing out. Because dark milk isn't designed to give you richer chocolate. It's designed to make you believe you're tasting something premium while the company quietly protects its margins. When you follow the money, the illusion collapses instantly. Start with the cocoa. Real dark chocolate begins around 70% cocoa. Even mid-tier bars sit at 55 or 60. Dark milk, around 40, sometimes lower, and yet the marketing leans heavily into phrases like deep cocoa notes, bold taste, intense flavor. These words aren't tied to what's inside the wrapper, they're tied to what's inside your expectations. The packaging does even more of the manipulation. This bar doesn't wear the bright purples and playful curves of classic Cadbury. It switches them out for mature navy tones, matte textures, minimalistic layouts. It borrows design language from actual premium brands, hoping your brain will fill in the rest. And it works because consumers don't walk around analyzing ingredient lists. They respond to signals, cues, and suggestions. And companies know this better than anyone. Look closer. The milk solids tell you everything. They soften bitterness. They round off the flavor. They dilute the cocoa mass while preserving smoothness. In other words, they give you the feel of premium chocolate without the cost of making it. Sugar still high, because they need you to like the first bite instantly. Not appreciated, not considered. Just react. Smooth plus sweet, just to pleasure. And pleasure, repeat purchase. Now ask yourself, is this a flavor experience or a business strategy? Because this bar is built with one priority: protecting profit while pretending to elevate quality. Cocoa is one of the most expensive ingredients in confectionery. Milk powder and sugar are among the cheapest. Lower the cocoa, raise the perception, and you've built the perfect illusion, a low-cost bar disguised as a premium treat. The company wins twice. They spend less making it, they charge more selling it. Everything about dark milk is engineered to make the customer think this must be better. It looks expensive. And this is where the manipulation gets clever. Companies understand two powerful emotions: curiosity. What is this deeper flavor? Fear of missing out. What if this is the new best thing? They don't need to improve the bar. They just need to improve the story around it. Take a bite. The flavor is smooth, pleasant, familiar, but shallow. It doesn't swell. It doesn't linger. It doesn't evolve. It's milk chocolate in a darker coat. And that emptiness after the first few seconds, that's the missing cocoa. That's the experience you didn't get because the company decided their wallet mattered more than your taste. This isn't a crime. It's a calculation, and one the industry repeats endlessly. This is where you see that some brands aren't crafting chocolate. They're crafting perception. They don't optimize for richness. They optimize for margin. And the next brand, that one goes even further. It doesn't just dress up mediocrity, it rewrites a fan favorite entirely, hoping you'll never notice the switch. Number 5. Galaxy. There was a time when Galaxy didn't need advertising to convince anyone of anything. You tasted one square and the bar spoke for itself. Slow melt, silky body, cocoa depth that unfolded like a warm wave. Galaxy had an identity unmistakable, confident, proud, and then something shifted, not loudly, not publicly, quietly, subtly, but unmistakably. The bar that once defined smoothness became a version of itself that barely resembled the original, and customers noticed immediately. Look at the conversations online. People asking, why does it feel softer than before? Why is it melting too fast? Why does it taste sweeter, lighter, almost synthetic? These aren't picky complaints. These are long-time fans, people who grew up with Galaxy, suddenly finding a different bar inside the same wrapper. The truth behind that frustration, Galaxy didn't evolve, it abandoned its past. Run your finger along the bar. The old Galaxy had a natural matte sheen, the kind created by cocoa butter, crystallizing in its own time. The new one, it glistens too evenly, almost lacquered. That perfect plastic-like shine doesn't come from tradition, it comes from processing efficiency. Break a piece off. The original Galaxy broke with a soft but confident snap, a kind of structural grace. Now the bar bends, buckles, then gives way like warm putty. That change isn't accidental. When a chocolate softens this way, it signals a different internal fat structure and a different approach to emulsification. This isn't evolution, it's surrender. Taste it. The melt used to come in layers. First warmth, then silk, then depth. Now it collapses instantly, fast, slippery, shallow. The melt doesn't build, it slides. And that slide is exactly where customers feel the betrayal. Galaxy once prided itself on a slow, sensual reveal. That was its signature, the thing that separated it from every other milk chocolate in the aisle. Now the bar melts as if in a hurry, as if the goal isn't pleasure, but efficiency. And that's where the heartbreak begins. Galaxy stopped prioritizing the experience it once built its name on. The chocolate didn't just change, the philosophy changed. It's smoother, yes, but not the natural deep smoothness of carefully tempered cocoa butter. It's a surface smoothness engineered by emulsifiers tuned for speed and factory throughput. It's the difference between silk and plastic. Both are smooth, but only one feels alive, and customers can feel the difference. They miss the old weight, the old richness, the old identity. A bar that used to anchor them in something warm and familiar now feels hollow, shallow, rushed. Because Galaxy didn't just change its recipe, it changed its purpose. Once this bar was crafted to feel indulgent chocolate that wanted you to slow down. Now it's optimized for molding speed, cost control, shelf stability, melt predictability in warmer climates, and production efficiency. All understandable from a corporate standpoint. All devastating to the people who loved what Galaxy used to be. And that's the problem. Galaxy didn't tell anyone it was changing. It just hoped loyalty would fill the gap that cocoa depth once occupied. Customers felt that gap instantly. Because you can't hide a missing identity behind a shiny wrapper. You can't speed up a melt and still call it the same experience. You can't flatten a flavor and expect memories to stay intact. Galaxy didn't just alter a bar, it turned its back on its own legacy. And the people who loved it the most were the first to feel the loss. After everything you've seen, it's easy to feel like every bar on the shelf is compromised. Some cut cocoa, some drown you in sugar, some rebuild themselves with engineered fats, some pretend to be premium while giving you less. And some, like Galaxy, turn their back on their own identity entirely. But not every brand plays this game. A few, very few, still fight for honesty, real cocoa structure, and genuine flavor. The kind that doesn't manipulate curiosity or hide shortcuts. And those two rare names deserve a spotlight, because if you care about what chocolate should be, these are the ones worth buying now. Number 6. Tony's Chocolonely. There are chocolate bars that hide behind design bars, that hide behind slogans, and bars that hide behind the comfort of tradition. Then there is Tony's Chocolonely, a bar that refuses to hide anything at all. Before you break the first piece, before the wrapper even folds back, Tony's makes its intentions clear. This is chocolate built out in the open. No mystery, no marketing fog, no quiet corner cutting, just a company putting every step of its process right on the table and daring the industry to match it. The first thing you notice isn't the color or the logo, it's the shape. Uneven blocks, jagged divisions, a design that looks almost unfinished, but it's deliberate, it's symbolic. It's Tony's way of saying the chocolate industry is uneven, unequal, and broken, and we will not pretend otherwise. It's the most honest wrapper-to-core message you'll find on a supermarket shelf. While others polish imperfections away, Tony's embosses theirs into the chocolate itself. Then comes the weight. Pick it up, really pick it up. The bar feels substantial, almost old-fashioned in the best way. It's heavy because it's built on real cocoa mass and real cocoa butter, not fillers, not engineered fats, not emulsifier-driven melt tricks. Just cocoa sugar milk if you choose a milk variant, and a small team of ingredients that actually belong in chocolate. And Tony never tries to downplay this. Their ingredient lists read like something your grandmother could understand, direct, simple, unapologetically real. Now taste it. The first hit is cocoa, not sweetness, not oiliness, not a soft synthetic slide. It starts strong, opens slowly, and finishes with the kind of depth that only comes from cocoa that has been grown, sourced and processed with respect. This bar doesn't melt fast because fast melt impresses no one. It melts honestly, letting each layer of flavor sit long enough for you to notice. You don't get the blur of instant sweetness. You get progression, a beginning, middle, and end. And what holds all of this together isn't technique, it's transparency, traceable cocoa beans, open sourcing, public commitments, a supply chain that isn't designed to confuse customers, but to educate them. When Tony says where their cocoa comes from, they mean it. When they talk about ethical sourcing, they publish the details. When they say fairness matters, they show receipts. You're not trusting a brand, you're trusting documentation. That's what makes the experience so distinct. Tony's isn't trying to hypnotize you with packaging. It's not trying to sound luxurious or artisanal or nostalgic. It's trying to be accountable. And accountability in chocolate is rarer than any flavor note. Even the flavor choices reflect this philosophy. Instead of chasing trends, Tony's doubles down on core profiles, strong cocoa foundations, clean sweetness, real texture. You can feel it between your fingers. You can hear it in the break. You can taste the difference immediately, not because Tony's is louder or darker or richer, but because it is uncompromised. But honesty doesn't make a brand perfect. It just makes it trustworthy. And yes, being fair means acknowledging Tony's downside. The bars are pricier, sometimes significantly pricier. Traceable cocoa and ethical supply chains cost more, and Tony's never pretends otherwise. For some households, that price is a barrier. For others, the large block size means you don't get the casual everyday portion control of smaller bars. But those drawbacks don't undermine the core truth. Tony's is one of the rare chocolate brands that shows you exactly what it is, how it's made, and why it costs what it costs. No illusions, no shortcuts, no silent compromises. In a world where chocolate often asks you to trust without proof, Tony's Chocolonely does the opposite. It hands you the proof first, then the chocolate. Number 7. Green and Black's Organic. Before Green and Black's became a familiar name on shelves, it was just a small idea on a London kitchen table, a belief that chocolate could be both intense and honest, powerful and pure, bold yet responsible. No noise, no glitter, no shortcuts, just cocoa treated with the respect it deserves. That small beginning turned into one of the most recognizable organic chocolate makers in the country, not because it shouted the loudest, but because people tasted something real and kept coming back. The story starts in the early 90s when organic anything was barely a conversation. Supermarkets weren't filled with clean labels. Certifications weren't trendy, ethical sourcing wasn't a sales pitch, but Green and Black's didn't wait for the wave, it built the wave. It introduced one of the first widely available organic dark chocolate bars in the UK, using cocoa that wasn't treated as an afterthought, but as the central star. That alone made it stand out instantly. The strength of flavour, the depth, the unmistakable aroma, nothing else on the market hit like that at the time. Recognition didn't arrive because of advertising, it arrived because of taste. People bought one bar, realised how different it felt from the softened, sweetened, diluted chocolate they were used to, and then told their friends. Restaurants began using it. Chefs started melting it into desserts. Food writers took notice. Before long, the name Green and Black's became synonymous with richness, the kind of chocolate that didn't compromise, didn't hide, didn't bend to cost-cutting trends. The trust came slowly, but it came deeply. Every bar held the same promise. Organic beans, real cocoa butter, no vegetable fat swaps, no chemical shortcuts, no engineered melt behavior. You could read the ingredient list and understand every line. You could break a square and hear that crisp, tight snap, the sign of genuine cocoa butter structure. You could open the wrapper and smell the intensity before the flavor even touched your tongue. And over the years, while the market shifted and brands began chasing margins, Green and Black stayed recognizable. Same deep-colored packaging, same firm bar mold, same insistence on organic certification and fair trade foundations. People trusted it because it didn't try to reinvent itself every 2 years. It didn't need to. Integrity ages well. The flavor profile became a classic, a strong opening bitterness, a slow middle bloom, and a warm long finish. Not childish, not engineered to disappear, just clean, controlled, confident cocoa. It's the kind of bar that teaches you what chocolate actually tastes like when no filler gets in the way. And that's the point. Green and Black's earned loyalty through consistency. It didn't buy trust. It didn't manipulate curiosity. It didn't redesign itself to chase trends. It built credibility brick by brick, bar by bar, decade after decade. When shoppers reach for it today, they're not just grabbing chocolate. They're choosing a brand that has proven itself in public for more than 30 years. But every honest brand deserves honest criticism. So here are the downsides. Green and Black's is bold, sometimes too bold for people who grew up on soft, sweet bars. The flavor can feel sharp, almost intimidating, especially in the darker variants. The price is higher, driven by organic sourcing and fair trade commitments. And yes, longtime fans know the original formulations are the gold standard. Newer mass market expansions don't always match that early purity. But even with those caveats, the truth stands. Green and Black's is one of the few bars that grew from a tiny, idealistic idea into a trusted national name without losing its identity. It kept its craft, kept its ethics, kept its flavor, and kept earning trust, not demanding it. This is what chocolate looks like when a brand protects its origins instead of rewriting them. After walking through every corner of this aisle, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Chocolate isn't failing because people lost their taste. It's failing because too many companies have lost their principles. They cut cocoa, hide their formulas, and gamble with your trust as if you won't notice. But you did notice. And tonight proved that you're not imagining the change, you're tasting it. Yet there's still a way forward. Honest bars still exist. Real cocoa still exists. Brands that fight for integrity still exist. Tony showed what transparency looks like. Green and Black showed how consistency can survive decades. And the moment you choose these names, you send a message louder than any marketing campaign. Flavor matters, truth matters, and shortcuts never win in the long run. So the next time you stand in front of that chocolate shelf, remember this: you're not choosing a bar. You're choosing the kind of industry you want to keep alive.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage education. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.